York-bound publications. Follow Kareem Rahman, Louis Leach 3, on Twitter, at @black_EB932. Facebook, Kareem Rahman. Follow York-bound publications, at York-bound publications Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Everlasting Love BY, Louis Leach 3. No parts of this book may be retransmitted or duplicated without written consent from the author, Louis Leach 3, except in instances of short reviews. Copyright C. York-bound Publications 2022. Episode 1. How I Met Your Mother. Babe, are you happy? I mean, like completely happy? Is there anything I can do to make you more comfortable? Keen said as she gently massaged my head and passed me the joint. Yes. I smoke my weed in joints rolled in top paper. Very little ones too. I be fucked up though. True story, as I lay with my head in her lap. This was my favorite place in the world to be. And Keen was definitely my favorite person in this world. Yes babe, I am completely happy. I responded through a smile as wide as the Grand Canyon. The craziest part? My answer was not a lie. At this very moment, I am as happy as could be. Seriously. I literally don't need anything else in the world at this moment. Just my baby Keen. Sounds like a lie, or some game, don't it? Some shit one of those lying-ass dudes would say to a chick, right? You're halfway right. I am one of those lying-ass dudes, especially where chickenhead women are concerned, but this ain't that. My baby Keen is special. Yup, me and my baby Keen go back, way back. Like an old school Cadillac. Let me ask you a question real quick. Are you currently with the person that you believe was meant for you? I mean, do you feel like this person was created to be with you and just you, and vice versa? In other words, do you believe that you are currently with the love of your life? Was right here, where destiny was supposed to lead you? Was everything that has happened in your life, good or bad, all to bring you to the relationship you are currently in? Now ask yourself, would your current relationship survive a major blast from your past? These are the questions me and Keen had to ask ourselves after bumping into one another 25 years after the last time we saw one another, and even more confusing and shocking, the fire, desire, and passion that once burned within us for one another 25 years ago, was still there. And still as strong as ever. That was evident from the first time I hugged Keena after our long hiatus apart. The shit felt right. If this is what wrong feels like, then I don't ever want to be right. Feel me? 1992, June. Ayo. Hurry up before that old ass guard come roaming around here and find us. Pete halfway whispered and halfway yelled as he peeped his head around the brick wall we were chilling behind. I hit the blunt and laughed before I looked up at Pete from my seat on the ground. You a bitch ass nigga Pete, you know that right? I asked dryly between puffs of Indo, go Google it you young ass whippersnapper, before we both bust out laughing. That's what we did most of the day. Well that, and try to avoid going to class as much as possible. Pete had been my roll or road dog, whichever one you prefer, since 3rd or 4th grade. His real name wasn't Pete either. It was Feety. We called him that when he was younger because his head used to look like a foot. Fam shit be looking more like a loaf of bread these days, so the Feety shit ain't even funny no more, so, Pete is what we call him now. Very simple arithmetic, if you asked me. Shut yo bitch ass up. Come on. He making his rounds, we can hit the gate now. Pete said, before I immediately rose to my feet and sprinted behind Pete toward the gate on the other side of the track/football field. We got to the fence and cleared that joint in a matter of seconds. Pete pulled another blunt out of his book bag and lit it up as he looked at me. Now that we broke out of prison for the day, what's next? My sophomore year of high school. Great memories, great times, and most important, no responsibilities. Being 16 years old was the shit. I was a year behind though. That meant if I made it to 12th grade and graduated, it wouldn't be with my original class. I would graduate a year after scheduled, and a year after most of my friends. How did I manage to find myself in this position? After being ushered from class to class by teachers in middle school, the freedom of high school, and no class-to-class ushering from teachers, was too much for me and Pete to handle. We both failed 9th grade after finding our newfound high school freedoms. That's pretty messed up. But, there's always a small bit of light in a dark cloud, or at least, that's what I was once told. Being left behind, and failing mostly majors, I mostly had classes with true freshmen. The second time doing 9th grade makes you a super freshman, according to the official rule book full of shit. I was a super back then, that was the downside. The upside? Getting left behind and being put in the class 1 year behind me, put me in the same solar system as the love of my life. That was all of the help I was going to need. I knew Keen was my destiny from the moment I laid eyes on her. The universe had done us the favor of placing us in the presence of one another. I planned on taking care of the rest. Keen was one of the people I sat back and stared at for a long time, before I finally decided to, was able to muster up the courage to finally say anything at all to. I say one of the, because Keen was not my first high school crush. I usually studied my prey before I attacked. You know? Keen turned out to be anything but an easy study. Sis was super duper complicated, even from afar. Keen was never one of those Johns that you were going to get with the normal game type of shit. I saw what seemed like hundreds of dudes who were known for getting bitches strike out with Keen. I saw the get money type of dudes strike out with Keen too. Those types usually got shot down by Keen more than once. They tried once to get her with money. When Keen showed no interest, get money dudes usually gave it another try in a few months after they copped some new clothes, jewelry, or a new car. That usually impressed chicks our age, especially if you had a car. That was a huge deal in the high school days. But, even with their new car, dudes still got no play from Keen. I figured it was because she was totally turned off by drug dealers, for some reason. And then there were the weird-ass school spirit, jock-type jokers. You know, the type that was the shit in school, but a complete nobody around the way? Back in the day, those jokers were like a very corny motherfucker with millions and millions of social media followers. Yes, he was one of the corniest people on the planet and very lame, in practically every way possible. But, he held value to a certain type of chick. Especially back in the high school days. Popularity was what he provided. Those type of weird niggas usually got a lot of bitches too. They could never get my baby Keen though. Keen was someone I considered a bad bitch back in the school days. The crazy thing about Keen was that, bad bitch activities didn't seem to be her thing, from where I was standing. Keen spent most of her time in the library. And the library was where I made my first move on the love of my life. After watching Keen from afar for a couple of weeks, I realized that I was going to need to fly blind on this one. I usually like to have some idea of a person's interest before I shoot my shot. That wasn't going to happen this time. I knew as much about Keen after watching her for 2 weeks, as I knew before I started that dumbass shit. This chick was really a fucking anomaly. That bothered me, but it kind of attracted my interest a little more. A woman of Misty was always, and I do mean always, a thing? Attractive? Dope? I don't know, but not knowing much about a person because they were purposely private was something that I admired. Yeah. I'm a go with that. I admired Keen's mysteriousness? Mysterious ways? Misterioso? I don't know, but you know what the fuck I mean, don't you? Weirdo. Anyway, I decided to approach the danger on one of those days that I happened to be shitty sharp. Feel me? I forgot you was a weirdo. Let me try again. I decided to attempt to start a conversation with Keen on a day when my self-confidence was always at its peak. The days I came to school with some brand new kicks and a fresh-ass lay-on. And a pocket full of money too. Not my money, but it was in my pocket, for the moment. It always felt great to have a bunch of money busting out of your pants pockets. Even when it wasn't your money you was flexing with. Ah yes. The good old high school/novice drug dealer days. Good times. Good times. I tried my luck with Keen for the very first time on a Friday afternoon. Most people stayed after school to fuck around with some type of extracurricular activity that usually involved sports, or some other lame ass shit that people did with more than one person. You know? From where I was standing, Keen's favorite, and likely only, after school activity, seemed to be sitting in the library alone after school classes were done for the day at 2:30 p.m., until around a little after 5, when they usually started kicking the few folks in there, out of the library. I strolled into the library after I took a walk to the gym to try to sell a few bags of the tree in my pocket to those jock weirdos. We'd sold okay, but what those jokers probably really wanted were some steroids, or some other strange shit that I had no idea how to get my hands on. The basketball team was good for a quick $150 $200 worth of weed sells though. That was guaranteed. That was good money for me. Especially on a Friday afternoon. Friday nights were when I usually made my real money, but this was a pretty damn good start to my evening. After taking care of my basketball clientele, I headed upstairs to the large library on the 3rd floor. Disappointment was the first feeling I had when I stepped foot inside of the library. Keen wasn't in there. I was disappointed because she wasn't here, but I was more disappointed about the thought of doing all of that research on her, and clearly, I still didn't know shit about her, what she was about, or what she was into. I thought about that as I made my way to the football field, where I was hoping to make a few dollars off those good school spirit having weirdos. I probably wasn't, cause like I said before, football playing dickheads were mostly looking for their Uncle Royoids. You know? I ain't sell that steroid shit, all I had was weed, shit was some straight Reggie too, but it was still worth a try, right? I see you, Prince. Always on the prowl for something. I started cracking up before I even turned around to see who was calling my name. Oh yeah, everybody calls me Prince, by the way. Not Prince like Prince and the Revolution. Nah, he's dope, but nah. In my case, Prince is short for Black Prince. Only females are allowed to call me Black Prince though. The homies just call me P. K.E. What up? I laughed before I turned around and gave her a friendly hug. Kiki is my sister. Not blood, but, you know how that goes. Me and Kiki had been cool since 4th grade. How did me and Kiki get cool, you ask? Well, she saved my life. Not really, but the bull cash was beating the hell out of me during recess time one day. Dirty nigga was beating on me like I was a runaway slave too. I was balled up like a sucker, just taking blows, blocking some, and hoping the onslaught would be over at some point this year. The onslaught did stop. Hell, it stopped just about as suddenly as it had started. When I unballed myself and opened my eyes, what I saw took me by complete surprise. Kiki was sitting on Cash's chest and yelling her ass off as she pounded away at his face. Now Cash was the one balled up trying to block some blows coming his way. Oh, how the tables turn. When the teachers and NTAs finally came to break the fight up, they discovered that Kiki had broken his nose and jaw. Kiki got suspended for 3 days. When she came back to school after suspension, I was following behind Kiki like I was a lost puppy. My hero. What the hell you still doing hanging around school this late? Ki asked with a hint of suspicion. Lori asked me everything with a hint of suspicion. If there was anybody who knew when I was up to something, it was Kiki. So you stalking me again, fam? I said before I broke out laughing from the angry look on Ki's face after I said that. As I laughed my ass off, I caught a glimpse of something out of the corner of my eye. That glimpse quickly turned into a freaking daze. It was Keen. She was out there with the girls' track team. This was a surprise. I thought I had learned a few things about her during my research. I did not see this one coming. Keen looked good as shit out there too, with them little ass shorts on. I've seen Keen many times in my life. Like I said earlier, sis was beautiful, but seeing her dark skin and long black hair swinging as her butt cheeks bounced up and down, with her ample bosom seeming to be in absolute goddamn perfect synchronization with the swinging cheeks, it was definitely a beautiful thing to see. Feel me? Damn lover boy. You gonna put your tongue back in your mouth anytime soon? Ki said as she snapped her fingers in front of my face. I forgot Kiki's weird ass was standing next to me. That was the last thing I needed right now. Ki was my sis, but sis couldn't hold water if her life depended on it, let alone a damn secret. And this was a big time secret. I was scared to let anyone know how I felt about Keen. What if she shot me down when I finally got up the heart to try to holla at her? Everybody would know, everybody would laugh too. Nah, with something as important as my heart at stake, I needed to keep this one on the lowest of low keys. Even if that meant hiding this from my sister Ki, who is probably cussing me out as she reads this right now.